Hi everyone, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the author of the film review website Quipster.net. I invite you to check out the nearly 4,000 reviews there in written form. You can read them anytime at Quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net. Today I'm going to be reviewing the latest comedy action thriller called Snatched. It's an Amy Schumer vehicle. It's R-rated because it has crude sexual content, brief nudity, and language throughout, and the runtime is 90 minutes. Goldie Hawn co-stars, and there are supporting roles going to Ike Barinholtz, Tom Bateman, Christopher Maloney, Wanda Sykes, Joan Cusack, and Oscar Hainera. The director is Jonathan Levine, and the screenplay is by Katie Dippold. In Snatched, Amy Schumer is starring as Emily Middleton, who ends up cajoling her divorced and doting mother, Linda, played by Goldie Hawn, to accompany her on a non-refundable vacation to a posh resort in Ecuador that Emily booked back when she had a job and a significant other to come with her. It's fun for the ladies at first, with Emily meeting a hunky suitor named James, and Linda enjoying the poolside with a good book. Sure enough, as warned not long after their arrival, the two tourists end up getting snatched or kidnapped, like other tourists have ended up being in recent events, and they're put up for ransom by this fierce Colombian drug lord. Now it's up to the helpless mother and daughter to try to figure out a means of escape, and then all kinds of hilarious hijinks ensue. So Snatched is formulaic, it's uninspired in its plot, but I wouldn't consider it a particularly good film, but I do think as a comedy it does offer some requisite buddy comedy laughs. How much of those laughs hit you is going to largely result in how much you ultimately enjoy this as a comedy. Simple rule of thumb is that fans of Amy Schumer are likely going to enjoy Snatched the most. Those who don't care for her are going to enjoy it the least. It's not really as funny or as clever as her star-making vehicle Trainwreck, but on the other hand, it is a watchable and enjoyable comedy just purely based on garnering infectiously silly and abundantly crude laughs. Snatched is directed by Jonathan Levine. He helmed the lackluster Christmas comedy The Night Before. He also was the director for a more successful comedy, a zombie romantic comedy called Warm Bodies. In fact, even more successful, his 50-50 put him on the map as a talent to watch for that film's mix of laughs and poignancy. Snatched is a much more straight-up comedy. It has lots of improvised lines over the screenplay by Katie Dippold. Dippold, if that name sounds familiar to you, it's because she scripted other female starring comedy vehicles for Snatched producer Paul Feig, like The Heat and the Ghostbusters remake last year. Snatched does feature a nice supporting cast. Goldie Hawn is solid in her first role in many years. Interestingly, the combination of Schumer and Hawn, their interplay doesn't really yield as much fun in and of itself as you'd expect, but they are both individually appealing and funny in their respective roles in this kind of odd couple formula. Goldie Hawn is perhaps a little too cute and likable to come off as this overbearing nuisance as her character is supposed to be, while Schumer seems much more concerned in delivering funny shtick rather than shoring up the dynamics of the relationship with her mother any more than it's necessary to land the very next joke. We get scene-stealing performances from Wanda Sykes as well as her mute sidekick played by Joan Cusack. Yes, Cusack does not talk in this movie, but it's still a funny performance, and that will probably have some people in the audience thinking that a spin-off movie could be fun with these two should this movie earn enough of a following to justify it. I don't think it's going to happen, but it might be amusing. Yeah, future producers take note. Cusack and Sykes do work well together. One could say the same thing about Christopher Maloney in his performance here as this jungle adventurer who is not quite as reliable as these sort of archetypes typically are in films. Ike Barinholtz has one or two funny lines as Emily's nerdy failed launch brother Jeffrey, but he's also involved in some of the film's worst comedic material. A lot of that involving trying to get this agent in the U.S. government involved in rescuing his sister and mother, and he's on the screen far too often for such a superfluous character, especially when the laughs fail so often with him on the screen. Nevertheless, Schumer fans, as well as those who like raunchy comedies in general, or especially ones from a female perspective, are going to find enough here to like to justify the time and money spent. It's not a must-see comedy by any means, but the laughs are there, and even if they are scattered, there are just enough of those laughs to make this a fun diversion for those viewers in the mood for some low-grade chuckles, even with this uninspired vacation nightmare premise. I'm going to give Snatched 3 stars out of 4. 3 stars on my scale means that I do recommend it if the premise sounds appealing to you. If you're skeptical about it, or if you already know you don't like Amy Schumer and or raunchy comedies at all, I would say you can skip it. It's not one of those movies that you should go out of your way to see, but I think that Schumer fans know whether they're going to like her material or not, and they're going to get enough of that here to feel like it's a worthwhile experience. So 3 stars out of 4 is what I'm giving Snatched. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this review. I do encourage you to click the subscribe button if you did like the review and you want to hear more of them. Also, you can find more of my podcasting work on the In Session Film podcast. I co-host the extra film segments of that show, so go to insessionfilm.com for more details on that. And you can also get my contact information from my website. Quipster.net is where to go. QWIPSTER.net.